Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers. The house carried the warm scent of roasted turkey, cinnamon, and pine, one of those Christmas nights that feels flawless to anyone looking in. Soft fairy lights blinked along the windows. Carols played quietly from a speaker, blending with laughter and the clink of glasses as both our families filled the dining room. I sat next to my husband, Daniel, smiling on cue, nodding at jokes I barely registered. Inside, though, something was burning. For months, I had felt invisible to him. Our conversations had shrunk to schedules and responsibilities. Affection had faded into courtesy. He was always exhausted, always distracted, always mentally elsewhere. Even when he was beside me, he felt far away. I kept telling myself this was just a phase, that the holidays would reconnect us, that Christmas might remind us of what we were. But when I slid my hand toward his under the table, he didn't notice. His eyes were locked on his phone, his thumb moving faster than my thoughts. Then Mark arrived. My ex. The one I had promised myself was firmly in the past. My sister had invited him, thinking it would be nice to have familiar faces around for the holidays. He looked older, but the sense of familiarity hit me harder than I expected. When he hugged me, his arms stayed wrapped around me a moment too long. Daniel didn't even look up. Throughout dinner, Mark focused on me. He asked about my job, laughed at my stories, remembered small details from years ago that even I had forgotten. Every bit of attention felt like air after being submerged for too long. I kept glancing at Daniel, waiting for something, irritation, jealousy, anything to show I still mattered to him. But he stayed composed, distant, polite. It was as if I wasn't there at all. The wine kept flowing. Voices grew louder. Someone suggested moving into the living room for dessert. Chairs scraped back as people stood and mingled. As we shifted, Mark leaned close and murmured, "You look like you're fading tonight." Something inside me broke. I don't know if it was the alcohol, the loneliness that had been building for months, or the desperate need to feel seen. But before I could think, I turned and kissed him. It was quick. Not romantic. Not heated. Just a careless press of lips that said everything I'd been holding back. The room fell silent. I pulled away instantly, my pulse racing. My eyes went straight to Daniel. He didn't yell. He didn't explode. He didn't even look furious. He just looked hollow. Slowly he stood, straightened his jacket and said calmly, almost kindly, "I think I'll head home. Enjoy the rest of the evening." That was all. No accusations. No questions. No argument. He walked past me as if I were a stranger. The quiet he left behind was unbearable. It followed me for days. When I came home later that night, the light in the guest room was on. He was already asleep there. The next morning he left early, no note, no message. When we finally spoke days later, I tried to explain everything. I told him it meant nothing, that I only wanted a reaction, that I needed to know I still mattered. My voice shook as I waited for anger, for him to fight for us. Instead, he said softly, "That's what hurts the most. You didn't do it because you loved him. You did it because you felt nothing with me anymore." I cried. I argued. I begged. But something had already cracked beyond repair. He told me that when he saw me kiss someone else, he realized he had been slowly letting go for a long time. My kiss didn't destroy our marriage, he said. It only revealed how long it had been falling apart in silence. We separated a month later. Now, every Christmas I think about that dinner table, the lights, the warmth, the illusion of happiness, and the single impulsive moment that exposed everything we were too afraid to say. I wanted jealousy. I wanted proof that I mattered. What I got instead was clarity, and it cost me my marriage.